after the Wild lose 2-1 to the Colorado Avalanche tonight. Third game of their 4-game series. Some bad news in that Jared Spurgeon didn't play the entire third period. We don't know exactly what's wrong yet. Zulgad and Declan Goff, as always, from Judd's Hockey Show. And Declan, your first impressions off a game that both teams were certainly hammered by injuries. But this struck me as a game that the Wild had a very good chance to win and was in the entire game. And I thought they played okay. There were a couple guys who struggled, but this did seem like an opportunity where 2 points were certainly available, because without McKinnon playing, this is not the high flying Avs that they are when he's in.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely in their grasp. Obviously, I mean, Colorado's more banged up and missing as just as many players as the Wild are. And you could see throughout the entire game, I think that Kevin Fiala's presence was definitely missed this evening. I mean, no question. There was plenty of chances in front of the net, Judd, that you just got to bury. I know Cam Talbot had a couple fluky goals tonight. I wouldn't say it was Cam's strongest game. At the same time, I don't think Cam cost the team 2 points tonight. Obviously, Carson Soucy's missed opportunity there in the last scrum, Judd. I think that was the one that we're all going to remember, really, because he had the wide open net. Just couldn't. I don't know how he doesn't find the back of it, for God's sakes.
On the side of the net.
On the side, but that's not a goal. We need to get in the net, man. So, yes, a winnable game. You get Kevin Fiala back for the finale of this 4-gamer with Colorado. I'm excited to see what happens there, but a winnable game. Definitely a winnable game for the Wild.
Now, the good news is this. We had, ladies and gentlemen, a Bigfoot sighting. We had a Wild power play goal tonight. Kaprizov got the Wild scored a power play goal. By my count now, they are, if I'm correct, they were 1 for 3 on the power play tonight, Declan. They are now 3 for 42 on the season. Yes. So a power play goal. I also thought, so as far as guys on the Wild who I thought had strong games, Dex, Greenway, I thought did. And that Greenway Eck, and now with Foligno out, Hartman line looked really, really good to me. Just as far as how much they can bring it. I also thought that your old pal, Brad Hunt, back on defense, he had a nice game.
He did.
But I will say this. If Spurgeon cannot play on Thursday against the Avs in Denver again, Fiala will be back from his 3-game suspension for that game, but you'll be without Foligno, Dumba, Zuccarello, Johansson, and Spurgeon. And to your point, the Avs also were without 6 guys in this game, starting with McKinnon, who is a marvelous player. I thought that Cale Makar had a great game. Now, I will say this: NBC Sports loved him, because I think that just about every chance they got to highlight a player tonight, and I don't blame him. Kid's a great player.
He's awesome.
But yeah, it's gonna be tough. And by the end of that game, so in the third period tonight, you are skating Suter a ton, which is not ideal. In fact, I did not think that he had a great game. He was on the ice for both goals against tonight. Brodin, Cole, and Hunt. So I'm not sure who they're going to add as the potential 6th defenseman for the game on Thursday night. But it has gotten to a point now where on that blue line, it's going to be some trouble. And I really do think that we have found, especially now, that if Suter is asked to play too much, it gets to be a problem.
Yep. So
that's going to be an issue. But yeah, fun game. And for what both teams had, the Talbot goals, I would agree, weren't great. I thought he played okay overall. Yeah. But yeah, the first goal which was what the one that O'Connor scored from the side of the net, which I think deflected. It might have deflected off Spurgeon from what they were saying on TV. And then the second goal was the rebound off the faceoff that made it 2-0 in the second period. So so we are, for the first time on Judd's show, we are going to take people coming into the room like we did on Ventline, correct?
We are. So here's what you want to do. If you want to join the show with us, if you're welcome to get your face on the get your mug on this screen here with us. You're welcome to join by emailing VikingsVentline@gmail.com. Yeah, we're just going to keep that as the Vikings branding. We do this with Purple Daily. We do this after Vikings games. We've done this before. If you'd like to talk hockey with us, by all means, email me VikingsVentline@gmail.com. we'll get you on the screen. If not, Judd and I will continue to talk puck for, Judd and I could probably do it for a very long time, but we do have another job tomorrow we have to be ready for. At the same time, if you want to talk puck with us, email vikingsventline@gmail.com, and we'll get you on the screen.
So your thoughts as far as what the if Spurgeon's out here, Dex, what they're going to be facing? Because again, I will say this: it's become very clear to me that if Suter plays as much as he was accustomed to at one time, I think you're pushing your luck. I'm not saying it's going to be a disaster. I do think it's asking a lot for him at this age.
It is. With you being down Matt Dumba, that's already kind of a loss, obviously. That means Brad Hunt had to play significant minutes tonight. And look, Brad Hunt had a solid game, but he's also Brad Hunt. I talked to our pal, Lindsey Brown, a former member of Judd's Hockey Show, now down in Las Vegas and CBS Sports Radio. And it sounds like Brad Hunt still has a lot of fans in Las Vegas in the Sin City. My God, that guy's just still their number one fan. And you wouldn't think so, given the fact they made the Stanley Cup and they have all these great talent. But Brad Hunt, the legend of Brad Hunt, lives in the Sin City and now I guess also here in the state of hockey. But if Spurgeon is out long-term, that's going to be a significant issue. I know Kalen Addison was the top prospect that they got back in that Jason Zucker trade. I don't know if he's ready to step in and play 17 minutes a night. Louis Belpedio is another player who was a dynamic player at University of Miami, Ohio in college hockey. I watched him play a lot when I was at St. Cloud State. He can probably step in and fill the void, and he would probably be the first guy up, I would assume, to replace Jared Spurgeon, but you don't really at the same time replace him. That's pretty damn tough to do. Oh, yeah. So if you start, look, the bread and butter of this team is the blue line, Judd. We all know that. So you lose Dumba. All right. Not the end of the world, but still significant loss. You lose Jared Spurgeon, and now there's cracks in the ice. You're starting to fall through. The ice is thin, for the lack of a better word. So if they lose Jared Spurgeon, this is going to be in trouble because, Cam Talbot didn't have a strong game tonight, but at the same time, this defense makes it easy on the goaltending. That's why the goaltending for the last 7 years has mostly been, outside of last year, a pretty strength of this team. You start losing those defenders, it's going to be a tough pill to swallow.
So Spurgeon got hurt in the second period. I didn't see exactly if he took a hit or what. Did you? I couldn't tell from what he didn't come back. I couldn't tell if there was because I don't think that there was a play where I saw him actually go off the ice and look like he was injured.
Yeah, I didn't really notice he was gone until the announcers realized he was gone. I don't know if I looked down at the wrong time or what, but I didn't know what the significance was, why he had to leave the game.
Brady just put up a comment, Dex, that is near and dear to your heart. Kaprizov and Fiala on the same line, or we riot. The issue is, and I saw the quote that you put up before this one essentially said, why is Kaprizov playing with bums? The issue again comes back to this though. If you don't put him with Eck, and Dean loves the Eck lines because they work hard, right? But if you don't put him with Eck now, your choices, for instance, tonight on your other three lines, not including Eck, were Rask, Bukestad, Bonino, and he played on the line with Rask, but that's not three great choices here. So I don't know what to tell you. And here's the problem too. So let's say that they pair when Fiala comes back on Thursday. Let's say they pair him with Kaprizov. Sure. Who centers them then? This is the problem. Outside of Eck, there's nobody who you're going to put them with who I'm going to say, I love that. That's a great idea. I'm not saying that they won't score, and I'm not saying that they can't be good. What I am saying is I think the comments reflect an accurate assessment of the fact that, can we stop pairing Kaprizov with bums to start the game? And look, Preston, I don't disagree with your overriding point here, but my point is I am looking at the combinations that the Wild put out there tonight line-wise. And okay, if Fiala comes back, or when he comes back on Thursday for game 4 of this series, I'm going through this and I'm asking myself, what center are we going to say, oh, okay, now they've got it? You just don't to beat a dead horse that we're going to have to beat until this is addressed, Dex. You don't have that guy. You just don't. You don't have a guy to put Kaprizov with, who I think we're all going to say absolutely thumbs up. Now, I think that personally, I'd like to see him with Eck because I think Eck is your best player at that spot now. But beyond that, I'm at a loss here. I'm at a loss for what is going to truly work. And I don't know until this is addressed in some type of trade or something that there is an answer for the people who are frustrated by something that I'm sure frustrates the Wild as much as it does its fan base, Dex.
Yeah, Judd, that's where I'm not asking. Look, it was fun to do the reckless speculation as we did when Pierre-Luc Dubois first had those rumors pop up. I knew he was going to cost the Farm. And obviously it worked out really well that you had Laine and Dubois basically being swapped, disgruntled player for disgruntled player. Whatever, that's fine. At this point, I'm not asking for a blockbuster trade. Even with the team playing very well, I'm just looking for a competent, normal top 6 center, not game changing.
Can I throw a name out?
Center. Yes,
Can
please.
I throw a name
Please.
out? So I believe this surfaced on Saturday night, if I'm not mistaken, on Hockey Night in Canada from Elliot Friedman. And it sounds like this trade request was made via an agent through Friedman, but has not been made to the team yet, but he wants out.
Classic.
Sam Bennett of Calgary, who has not been great. He's a high draft pick and he has not been great. And he has played some wing as well, but he definitely can play center. He's got experience there. If you put him on the Wild roster right now, I think he'd probably be right around like with Eck, like, because I mean, they just don't have guys.
Right.
So what would your thoughts be? And I'm sure the price, I mean, you wouldn't get him for free, but he wouldn't cost you an arm and a leg. What would your thoughts be if just short term you could plug Sam Bennett of the Calgary Flames in, and then you'd probably play him with Kaprizov?
Considering it would be, let's just call it a 4th round pick. Can we just call it that?
3rd to 4th, yeah.
Sure. Let's call it a 4th round
Go
pick.
ahead. You call it whatever you want.
Or even, if you wanted to do a straight up swap, Marcus Johansson for Bennett, I'm all ears.
You're terrible.
But I'd be curious. I would take a shot on it. I mean, just looking at numbers overall. I mean, he scored 18 goals his rookie year as a 19-year-old and looked like he was going to set the world on fire and be a nice player with Johnny Gaudreau in Calgary. Since then, he has cooled off. He posted double-digit goals the next 2 or 3 seasons. He does't shoot the puck a ton. His Corsi numbers were good, but that's typical Calgary as well. Worth a shot? Yes. Would I be jumping up for joy? No. But I think with how starved I am when I see Victor Rask, don't get me wrong, working his ass off on that final a couple shifts there, getting the puck deep, going past the defender, doing everything he can, I will still probably take a chance on Bennett. I would still probably take the chance on Sam Bennett. Absolutely.
And that's what I was going to say. You cannot afford, and this is true of you, me, the fan base. We cannot afford to be picky. If you can get, so basically what I'm saying is if you can get a body who you would say could be suitably plugged in and be ordinarily a second line guy, you have to take it right now.
Yep. You
have to. And you're so banged up right now that you had, God bless him too. He works hard. He fought. He's a little guy. You had Kyle Rau on the ice tonight when the goaltender was pulled. So like that's how far your depth is down. But I wrote a note down here too. Kyle Rau took on JT Comfer. Okay, Comfer is 6 feet 192 pounds. Kyle Rau 5'8", 176. Good for him. Good for him. And you know what that was? Spontaneous fight. You know what I don't mind? Spontaneous fights. That was a spontaneous fight. That wasn't this crap. I saw the Ducks and Kings started their game tonight. Same BS. Guys are now planning fights during warmups. This is the thing now. Again, probably. So I'm not kidding you. So we had another planned, let's put the Dukes up to start a game. If you have a fight during the course of a game because a kid like Makar gets hit, good for you. But yeah, just to go back, if you can get a guy, and I don't even know, see, this is my question. Mm-hmm. When it comes to Bill Guerin's thought process, is trying to address a huge position of need for short-term success part of the plan? And I don't know that yet. Like, I can't tell for sure. So the point being is, I think if you look realistically at the division, the West, that the Wild's in, right? I think there is a great chance to grab that 4 spot. So you'll be a playoff team, or you should be.
I think so. It's tracking that way.
The Kings, the Ducks, Coyotes, right? Sharks. Ugh. But the question is, okay, if you grab that spot, your first round opponent is going to be the first place team, which is going to be the Avs, the Golden Knights, or the Blues. So I guess what I come back to is, does Bill Guerin think it's important enough to try to pull off a trade to help the team short term at a vital position, or is he going to allow this to ride a bit with much more of an eye towards building something for the 21-22 season?
So that's why I think that, no, I think Guerin's going to do something to at least try. I don't see a situation where he just lets Victor Rask be this person. I don't see a situation where Marcus Johansson continues to, score a clutch goal every once in a while, but mostly drive you mad. Mick Bjugstad, although I think he has played solid, has not necessarily lived up to the potential still of who he was supposed to be. I think we're now figuring out who Nick Bjugstad is, and it's a bottom six guy. And look, there's nothing wrong with that. Bjugstad could have a nice little career in the NHL as a bottom six guy. Especially if you can carve out a role like that, you can make a great living doing that. At the same time, he's also probably not going to be your top line center. So I think Guerin does something. I don't think it's significant. I don't think it's mortgaging the farm to get someone like Laine or Dubois. Is it realistic to maybe throw something out like Sam Bennett? Sure, that's probably easy to obtain. Adam Beckman's been someone too that's a big prospect. I don't think Beckman's ready to make that jump either. We were hoping it would be Marco Rossi after World Juniors. Marco Rossi isn't going to be playing this year, guys. Nope. I would be shocked. Nope. He's basically done. It sounds like he's got a very significant health issue behind the scenes with COVID. It's extremely unfortunate. And at this point, I'm ready for him to get healthy and move past that. And hopefully he's ready to go by the start of the regular next season in the fall of 2021. And the name I've been throwing out obviously was Nick Schmaltz in Arizona. He wouldn't come cheap like Bennett. Right. I don't think he'd be as expensive as Dubois or Laine either. So it's more of how can you facilitate that trade? And because I think the trade's going to have to come. I would be shocked if it wasn't from in the division, just like they did with Ian Cole. That's why I'm so intrigued with Arizona and Schmaltz.
Well, if they traded with the Flames, I think that Bennett would have to quarantine 7 days here.
Yep.
But he wouldn't have to. And if the Wild sent the Flames picks, it'd be a wash for them. So you could trade outside. It's not as big a deal in the States. I think the Canadian rule is a must quarantine for like 14 days. And the reason why the Cole trade worked with the Avs was because they were both teams were in California at the same time. But I think you would trade outside the division if you could. The question to me becomes, because it's a premium position and guys are hard to find, are you going to get a deal that as a short-term fix is palatable for your team? And that's the one I don't know, because I do think Guerin's a smart guy, and I do think that he is realistic enough to say this. I'd like to get something to help Dean and the club short term, but to your point about Schmaltz, you're not going to give up the farm for a fix that you don't think is the long-term fix. That's where it gets dicey and intriguing. But if you put this team right now with Fiala back, if you put and Johansson back and Spurgeon back and let's say Dumba back, I still don't see how you win a playoff series without at least one upgrade at center. I just don't.
Right.
And because the Eck line would probably be ideally in a playoff series, your checking line, and they would generate some offense, but they would check more. But if you're gonna throw out Bjugstad, Bonino, who by the way now is fourth line, like they've realized there's not a ton there. Bonino and Rask is playing with more important people now than Bonino is. And so like they sort of like Rask. And I go back to this. Rask is not the punchline that he was when he got here. And I do think he's improved himself. And I do think his skating, I don't know if it was because he was hurt or what. I do think the skating has improved, Declan. But I also, when I watch him play against a team like the Avs, which is an extremely fast team, he can't keep up. And that's not his fault. And that's not going to change. So if we're talking about a 7-game series, I don't see how you can be competitive unless I can take Rask, Bukestad, or Bonino, and significantly upgrade at least one of those and bump a couple guys down. I don't see how that works, but the Wild might say that's fine because this is all part of our process. And I don't know that they would definitely say, no, bleep it, we're going to go out and make a significant trade to try to upgrade now when, to your point, they've got guys coming. Rossi is coming. And so they could just basically put the brakes on and gear their thought process towards next year instead of being concerned about this year.
Yeah, quickly before I answer your question there. Number one, Jared Spurgeon, upper body injury, says Dean Evison, and there's no timetable yet on the injury. It is upper body, UBI, as they love to say, upper body injury for Jared Spurgeon. And also this comment too from Ezekiel, Rask is hungrier than Bonino and Bukestad. That's true. Like that is honestly true. He is hungrier than Bonino and Bukestad. Yeah,
which is surprising. Bonino, I'm shocked by that because it's not a bad point. Bukestad, I covered him with the Gophers too. This is him. He is a passive person. He is a passive hockey player. What you see, and he's not bad. He's not a bad player. And I do think that he definitely has like a fourth line role. So on a good team. But with Nick Bukestad, Declan, I don't think that there is another gear there. Like there might be on certain nights, but to say that Rask is hungrier is might be true, but what you're getting from Bukestad like tonight is what you're going to get. But I'm a little bit surprised. I thought he would bring it more, but with Bukestad, I because he's got the size. Like you look at him and you say to yourself, he should be doing way more. He should be hitting more. He should be driving to the net more. He should be doing X, Y, and Z. And he's not as good a player, but he reminds you as far as assertiveness at times of and this guy's good, but he had the same problem, Charlie Coyle. Bukestad's not as good, but as far as the, just be assertive, dude, right?
The tendencies.
Yeah.
The tendencies.
Well, and, the tendency to take a shot when he could drive to the net, the tendency not to hit a guy. Right. I think he's 6'5", Declan.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
I mean, you're 6'5", hit people.
Sure.
Got some calls?
No calls yet. Yeah, if you want to join us, by all means, VikingsVentline@gmail.com. Otherwise, Judd and I will gladly still talk puck with you guys. We appreciate your comments coming on YouTube. Subscribe to us. That is Score North MN. Hit that subscribe button right there. We're also breaking down so many Kirk Cousins trade rumors. Kirk Cousins rumors all over the place on Purple Daily. That's Purple Daily MN as well. Go find it. We're both on YouTube. We're on Mackie and Judd as well. Apple, Spotify, Score North. We will still be breaking this down. This is just Judd and I's Zen moment. We are so sick in the head that I'm out of Corona Hard Seltzers, a proud sponsor of Score North, so I had to pull a tequila on ice right now, Judd, after that loss.
Phil would be very proud.
On Tuesday night, breaking down a hockey game on YouTube with our loyal audience here. So that is what we do on Judd's Hockey Show. If you want to join, we'll get you on the screen, VikingsVentline@gmail.com. Otherwise, Judd and I will continue to wrap it up or continue to talk some puck here with you. But yeah, at this point, if you're looking at your center depth, it is what it is. You have Kirill Kaprizov basically dragging this team along, and tonight's result is exactly what you saw. I mean, yeah, he gets the power play goal, but there's so many moments where he makes this. What was it, Judd? I think in the second period, he's coming in on the near side, makes this insane drop pass, and I hate drop passes at the blue line. I literally despise it. It is like one of the casual, one of the things I usually rip hockey fans like, oh, you don't know, but like I'm a big fan of either bring the puck in and be confident with it or get it deep. But please, for the love of God, don't make a turnover that's unnecessary. At the same time, he is so dang good and so talented and draws so much talent, so much attention. He leaves this great drop pass to, I believe it was Hartman. I forget who, or someone was on his wing that probably was not expecting this pass. It might have been poor Luke Johnson. And Johnson didn't know what to do with the puck, so he fans in the shot and has no chance getting that one on goal. But that's what Kaprizov does. He's basically, Judd, being an ifdo de facto center playmaker.
Yes,
because he can create so much talent and space around him.
Yep.
So that's why if Fiala comes back on Monday, and this is what I told Lindsay this as last night on Lost Radio. Do what this Colorado Avalanche team did 2 years ago before they're at their peak right now. Say, we have one line. Try to stop it. And The line is Kaprizov and Fiala, and I don't care who is in the middle. At this point, I don't care.
You got to care a little bit. You got to care a little bit.
So fine.
Who is it?
Let's call it Bukestad. Let's just call it Nick Bukestad. Okay, let's for this example, let's say it's Nick Bukestad. But on the wings are Kaprizov, who's basically an if de facto center. You have Kevin Fiala, who wants the puck on his stick all the damn time and is commanding it and wants to score the big time goals. Say this is our top line. Yep. We are going top heavy here. We'll play depth, everything down below. Let's go. And you know what? If Joel Eriksson Ek is that guy, I don't think Dean will do that because Ek is their best center. But if you can put these two kids together, that's going to be your best shot, man. That's going to be your best shot to drive offense consistently. And it's not going to get you far until you get a number one center, but that's what you're going to have to do. Put Kaprizov and Fiala on the same line on Thursday. That's what I would do.
All right. I buy that. Okay. I'm going to say it again. I told you last episode, I believe, and I will give it to you again. If you put Fiala and Kaprizov on the same line, okay, you have enough talent there that you need your center to do, I think, two things. One, keep up, which Rask can't do. I don't think Bukestad can. And I don't think Bonino can. So you need him to keep up and you need him to be able to facilitate making plays, all right? When he comes back, I'm going to tell you again, I would put Marcus Johansson between those two because he can play with them. I would be very curious to see him play with those two because I think when I see him make plays, it's not bad. And my consistent problem in my brief time of watching Marcus Johansson so far has been that I don't see him bring his game up to where it should be consistently. I think if you played him with 97 and 22, he would be forced to. I would take a look there because all I want is a guy, again, that can keep up and make plays for those two. I don't need anything else because I just want him to make them look good. And my frustration right now is watching Kaprizov, and you're right, Dex, he is basically trying to play three positions. To your drop pass point, Kaprizov had a play. There was a play in, I think it was the third period too, where he didn't do a drop pass. He brought the puck in. He brings the puck in, and I'll go back to what impresses me. And I had no idea how damn strong on the puck he is. He is a very strong kid. So he brought the puck in, I think, right wing side. He brought it down to the corner, then to the left of Grubauer. And the play didn't go places, but he had done all this by himself to create something. And I'll ask you this. How many Wild players, forwards especially, in the past few years have had that ability? Parise can work his butt off. So don't get me wrong there. He goes in the corners. He works hard. But I'm talking about the ability to basically navigate through traffic, right? Control the puck, be strong on the puck, and establish the zone. And again, to use the term that I think we talked about after the first or second Kings game, to establish the pace of that shift, the pace of that play. Kaprizov does that. And can you imagine if they put him with a center who was just good? So I'm not talking about an all-star. I'm talking about just a viable guy who had speed. Can you imagine what this guy could potentially do?
Yeah, it would be certainly special if you could figure out some way to get a fast center who can move up and down the ice with this kid because he deserves it. And right now, basically, Dean Evason is using him as a decoy to elevate other players who don't belong playing alongside with him. I get that philosophy. I completely understand. But if you can find some competent center to do it, then all of a sudden it changes the makeup of the team. It's just like finding an ace pitcher. There's rumor, I guess I'm seeing on my timeline right now, Nelson Cruz has come back. So Nelson Cruz coming back to the Minnesota Twins, a 1-year deal. You put Cruz in the lineup, it makes everything else better down the middle.
Marcelo Ozuna scared Nelson Cruz. He's like, oh my God, I'm going to resign.
We'll probably break down that signing more on Mackie and Judd tomorrow. Cheap plug, find that tomorrow afternoon around on your podcast feeds and as well on Score North on Apple, Spotify, Facebook, Twitter. Evening Judd, and he's on fire right now. There's no sleep for the Judzog yet. He's drinking water. I'm drinking tequila. So that's how this usually rolls. But yeah, if you can find a competent center, it changes the entire basically formula on how the Wild want to go about this. So I think that's basically, this is going to be who the Wild are. Obviously, when you're down Kevin Fiala against a team like Colorado, it's going to make things very difficult to do. That's why I'm excited to see what happens on Thursday. I mean, you're still down Foligno. You're still rolling a couple scrubs in because of the COVID situation. At the same time, Fiala does change things. And especially if with McKinnon being out week to week, the Wild will have a slighter advantage with Fiala back in the lineup.
Yeah, and don't forget too that before he got suspended, Fiala, I believe in the previous 2 games before the suspension, Declan had played great. He was starting to play great. He was getting scoring chances, asserting himself. I felt like the start to his year was a little bit slow because we saw a snapshot, and it was a pretty long one, of what he can do in last year, February into March, right? Like we saw the snapshot of, oh my God, this guy is a superstar talent. And then to start this year, I thought he was a little bit not shaky, but just not great. But the 2 games before he got suspended against the Kings, he has started to play really, really well. And he is a guy who I think you're probably right. I think at this point in time, if you can have 2 good lines, take them. So it's Eriksson Ek, Greenway, Foligno / Hartman, and then it's Kaprizov, Fiala, I say Johansson, you say Bukestad, but the point being is if you put Fiala and Kaprizov together, you're going to generate chances. You just will. And then your 3rd and 4th lines are guys. I mean, who cares at that point? I've got a question for you about the power play. So the power play by my count now, Declan Goff, is 3 for 42. Oof. It was 1 for 3 tonight. Okay. It did score when Kaprizov scored the Wild's lone goal of the evening. But here's my question for you. I continue to be baffled by how they're doing this. And here's why. First power play, okay? First power play tonight before Spurgeon got hurt. Bukestad, Bonino, who's in there to win draws, because I think Dean freaked out when Zach got beat on draws continually in those Kings games. So it's Bukestad on the left, I believe, Bonino in the middle, okay, Kaprizov, Suter, and Spurgeon. Your second power play, though, and here's where my confusion lies. Your second power play is Rask, your guy, Jerry. Okay. Like, I mean, you got to plug a guy in, I guess. But here's where I'm confused. Parise, Brodin, and Hunt. All right. Let me ask you this.
Okay.
2 switches. One is, why would Parise not be on that first power play? Bukestad is, Bonino is. Now, Bonino is there solely to try to win puck possession off the draw, okay? But like Nick Bukestad does nothing that makes me think to myself, man, you know what? First power play, Bukestad above Parise. The second one I don't get is if he's going to play, and if he's going to play the way that he played tonight, I would put on the power play, specialty teams, I would put Hunt above Suter every time. Absolutely. Like what am I missing that Ryan Suter brings to the power play that makes him a first power play guy? Keeping in mind that he started the season on the second power play, and I thought that was very fair and a perfect slot. But Brad Hunt's aggressive. He's got a good shot. Mm-hmm. He can move the puck. And I am certainly not trying to insinuate that I think he should play a lot more 5-on-5. But explain to me why Parise and why Brad Hunt would not be on the first power play, because that really confuses me.
What makes things complicated is you lose Dumba, you lose Fiala. Okay, those are 2 number 1 guys. I know both. I know Dean has tinkered with moving them around on number 1 and 2 units, but those are number 1 power play unit guys. Okay, and it's one thing for your bench to get shrunken like that, but it's one thing to lose 2 of your top 5 most lethal power play dudes. I completely agree with you that Brad Hunt needs power play time. Brad Hunt plays. Brad Hunt has a job in the NFL, in the NHL for the power play. Right. If he was not a power play specialist, look, Brad Hunt, we love you. God bless you. You wouldn't be in this league. It's his howitzer and it's his point power play that's going to make him his bacon. Mm-hmm. So he absolutely needs some time. I also agree with our commenter Daniel here. If Jordan Greenway is killing it 5-on-5, if you would have told me 10 games into the season that Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid would be the only two players who had more power play points than Jordan Greenway, I would have said, what are you smoking and where are you finding it? Because that would have never had crossed my mind for any reason. But at this point, give Greenway number one time.
That's a good point.
It's so putrid. It's so bad that I guess throw whatever bleep you want against the wall and see what works. But man, woof.
Kaprizov should play on it. And yeah,
yes, you should.
Dan's right. Greenway too. I mean, net front presence. He has worked his ass off. In fact, I think that as good as Ek has been, I think that Jordan Greenway right now might be the best story on this team as far as guys who we basically were saying, dude, are you really going to be Charlie Coyle? Like, are you really going to, I've had one good game and now I'm going to take 4 games off. Greenway, every night, I feel like, for the most part, as far as I can tell this year, brings it, looks damn good, is in shape. And yeah, he's exactly right. Play him first power play, or play him power play for sure. I just don't understand how Bukestad and Jerry and Rask rate power play time above guys like a Greenway, or heck, you know what? Ek as well.
Yeah.
Ek as well. That Ek Hartman Greenway line tonight, I thought was really good. And Hartman, you talk about a guy who's brought it. He brings it. Like, he's not the most talented dude, but he plays hard. But yeah, Jordan Greenway has done everything that I think Bill Guerin, before Greenway left after the bubble, he has done everything that he has been asked to do. He has been fantastic. Give him power play time. But it just seems to me that when I'm telling you that the first power play is Bonino, Bukestad, Kaprizov, Suter, and Spurgeon, that it does not surprise me that they've struggled. And it does not surprise me that I believe the guts of the power play on which Kaprizov scored was the second power play. That's a Parise pass. That's what Zach does.
Hey, and Joe, we're getting some commenters that are saying the same kind of things. Are you a little concerned with Zach Parise? I mean, not piling up points yet. Some people think he looks a little slow. I personally think it's been a lot of snake bitten. He's been right there in front of the net trying to get those garbage goals. I mean, look, Zach's never going to wow you with his skill. He's going to outwork you. That's been his bread and butter since he came in the league. Mm-hmm. But have you been concerned at all with how Zach's looked through about a dozen games here?
I'm not concerned because of this. One is I think he scores goals and streaks. So I think if he gets 1, he'll get 5. Right. But the second thing is, ladies and gentlemen, look at his age, look at his style of play. We've been talking about this, Declan, coming for 3 years. He is going to wear down. Like, he does not play a game that's conducive to being 40 and playing. He is going to wear down.
Sure.
I think he's a very smart player. I still think that he is going to work hard. I think he's going to bring what he can bring. But as far as I think the expectation of a consistent point production, no, I'm not surprised. Like, he spent his whole career getting beat up, right? He gets beat up at the corners. He goes in front of the net, all of those things, because he was never an all-star on skill. He was an all-star on some skill and a lot of grit and hard work and greasy goals. And he's taken a ton of cross checks. He's taken a ton of hits. So no, and I do think that he'll get hot, and I do think that he'll go through stretches where he is good again. But that being said, I think the days of expecting a ton here are done. And, let's call a spade a spade. Your 2 best forwards by far, like, there's no debate here, are Fiala, Kaprizov, or Kaprizov, Fiala. Those are your 2 guys. Everybody else, fall into line, do your job, which is what I love about the Ek lines. They do their job. Right. And like Greenway right now is working his butt off. That's great to see. But when we're talking about guys who have skill, like when we're talking about top line guys that have the potential to take over a game, their names are Kirill and Kevin.
Yes.
The 2 Ks. And after that, a guy like Parise will still play hard and he'll still do his job. And on the back end, the same holds true in some ways for Suter. Like, Suter has some rough shifts now, man. There's some times where, in fact, Dan just said that he is showing his age. There are times, and this is not the first time, but again, we're talking about a guy who broke his leg and foot a couple of years ago, got hurt again last year. I mean, Suits is no kid. These 2 are no kids. They are going to be at some point in time here who they are, but like the expectation of, well, you got the big contract, put that away, because these guys are past that. Like that had to win you a Stanley Cup, Declan, 2 or 3 years ago. Exactly. Now they're going to have their roles, and they're still going to be, I think, productive players, but they are not going to be upper echelon guys. There are very few guys on this team who are, and it starts with Fiala and Kaprizov and hopefully Spurgeon and guys like that.
Exactly. And if the Wild are going to be relevant this year, it's going to be literally Kaprizov and Fiala dragging them to relevancy until they find a number one center. Goaltending, I think, has mostly been fine this year. It's been a lot improved. Yep. No one expected them to be top 5 or Cam Talbot to challenge for a Vezina. They just needed competent goaltending, and they've gotten that. Even with Cam Talbot having a shakier game tonight, Cam Talbot wasn't the reason the Wild lost tonight. The Wild lost because they couldn't bury any puck right in front of Grubauer, which has been classic them.
Your guy Grubauer, too. You ripped him before the season started.
I still don't buy this.
How about that night he had tonight?
I don't buy this. If Colorado was serious, call me up. Your assistant GM, Declan Goff, will tell you what you need. You need a true goaltender, my friends. Go find one because you have a talented team and you're ready to go. But you need a real goaltender, and it ain't Philip Grubauer. Sorry, Colorado. And this comes from someone, by the way. A lot of Wild fans don't like watching the Colorado Avalanche and think it's lame to watch them. I enjoy watching good hockey. I enjoy watching good hockey players. If Colorado was in the Stanley Cup this year, I wouldn't be upset. I wouldn't be upset because they got talent up and down the roster. Absolutely. Just like I said, I wouldn't be upset if Green Bay Packers made it to the Super Bowl this year because I wanted to watch Aaron Rodgers. Okay, I'm not just an antagonist. I want to watch good things happen. But with the Wild, yes. Kaprizov, Fiala, that is going to be your bread and butter. That's what it's going to be.
The Avs quickly, okay? So I had seen them play in parts of about 4 or 5 games before this 4-game series against the Wild started. And I told you I had a weird feeling about them.
Yep.
It's confirmed now. All right. Number 1, they are fast as hell. Like they are.
Oh, they're fun.
Their speed is great. Makar, McKinnon, they're great. But we saw it again tonight, and it's this. They're spotty, and they don't focus on the game for huge amounts of time. I thought in the second period tonight, Declan, that the Wild spent much of that period taking it to the Avs, and the Avs were turning over pucks. I mean, Greenway had a great chance that Grubauer made a nice save on, but it was a turnover. It was awful. Like he was given the puck. He was gifted the puck. So if you're a good team and you play the Avs in the playoffs, they are susceptible, no question. And yeah, it's going to come down to what does the Wild believe that their window of opportunity specifically for 2021 is. Hey, I wanted to touch on something quick.
Yeah.
The drop pass thing. Okay. So I'm watching because I'm with you. And you know what drives me nuts? And it's been in vogue for years now. What drives me absolutely crazy is, and McKinnon can do it, but lots of guys can't, is the whole head of steam drop pass. So yes. I cross center and then I drop the puck back and you, Declan Goff, you take it and you're coming through the zone. Now there are McDavid, McKinnons, they can do it. Okay. That's fine. But there's a lot of guys who are like, okay, cool. I'll take the puck in. I'll get to the blue line and be met. Here's what I don't get. So 2 nights ago in the Montreal-Vancouver game in which the Habs, who by the way, look fantastic, blew out the Canucks. Their game plan was really smart, was to meet the guy who got the drop pass. So don't let him just fly through. Like go. So a forward, I believe, circled back and went and covered the guy who was going to get the drop pass. So the guy got the drop pass and was met by a Montreal player immediately. It was a great play. He coughed the puck up like a choking pig and lost it. And I believe that the Canadians scored. But the point being off of what you said is, why don't more teams address that? Like the drop pass to me seems to be inviting disaster if it's defensed well. And it just seems like there's this acceptance of, well, that's what they're going, that's what they're going to drop the puck. That's actually, if you can meet that guy, that's a golden opportunity to force a really, really quick change and a really good chance.
Look, if you're a team like Colorado and you have great talent up front, if you're McKinnon, you're skating in and you have someone like Ratinen or someone on or Landeskog that's trailing behind you or vice versa.
Yep.
Do the drop pass because you have the horses to do it. If you're Kirill Kaprizov and you're dropping it for Marcus Johansson,
Right.
Luke Johnson, or
Right.
Kyle Rao,
Right.
or Nick Bonino. No, Kirill, full steam ahead, kid.
But why wouldn't you, coaching wise, meet that pass? Meet the guy who's going to get the pass.
Right.
And you don't have to do this every game. But my point is, like, if you do this occasionally, one, it's going to surprise them. And two, the puck's basically at the opposing blue line. And if you get the puck, it's essentially at that point in time, one-on-one.
Yep.
It's a great opportunity. God bless him again. But if it's Kyle Rao and I'm the Avs, okay, I'll take my chances.
Yeah, no way.
Like, what's the worst that's going to happen there?
Yeah, no way, man.
It just drives me crazy because it's such a defensible part of the game that you would think that there would be more teams that had come up with a scheme to sort of end it. I mean, in football, that play would have been out of the playbook 5 years ago. Yeah. And in hockey, they just sort of allow it to happen. Hey, he's got the puck.
I guess.
Like, no.
And final thoughts here as we wrap up is probably, if you want to get in a track meet and if you want to get in a skill meet with Colorado, you're going to lose every single time. It's the same kind of analogy I think we used on our one-timer on Monday, where if you want to race the 100, if you want to be a sprinter against Colorado, you're going to lose. If we're talking the 1600 or the 1800, the little distance run, you got a shot. You got a shot to win this race. But if you want to sprint, you're going to lose. Because that's not, the Wild don't have the horses to keep up and be a sprinter. And that's where they're at right now. They're going to have to play a sound game and put all their eggs in the top basket. What's going on over here? Got a North Stars jersey. Is that one of the new ones, Judd? Or is this one of the original?
No, this is original, baby.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
It's original.
Cool.
Check this out.
Okay.
Little Al McAdam for you.
Al McAdam. How old is that jersey? How long have you had that one?
Around 7. I think I got it around 81. And I think it's from it's from when they went, I think, to the Stanley Cup Finals in 81ish. So yeah, it's
I
old.
was negative 11 years old. Yep. I'm not sure how old our YouTube audience was when that last happened.
That's the jersey, ladies and gentlemen. That's the jersey.
It's Edina, Judd. It's the Edina Hornets. We don't like those. No, we're the Wild now. We're the Wild now. We've moved on from the North Stars. We don't pay homage to them. We don't like that. We don't like that.
Sorry,
that's
folks.
Our sarcasm, by the way. I love the River.
I know you do. I know you do.
Stars.
I know you do.
It's great. Bring it back.
All right, so we're done. Last game of this series is on Thursday. I don't know if we're going to do a show after that game, but we are going to do a full edition of Judd's hockey show on Wednesday that you could probably find around 2:00 or so.
Yeah.
Declan, is that fair enough to say? With our podcast feed, I'm sure there'll be some highlights as well on Twitter. Wild lose 2-1 tonight. Plenty to talk about as always. I'm Judd, and Declan, do your thing.
Pass, shoot, score.